Hello students. Now last day we have done the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Today we will do the reaction. Now you know glucose is a 6 carbon compound. So the molecule of glucose is C6H12O6. In presence of 6 molecule of oxygen, it is broken down into 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 6 molecule of water and 38 molecules of ATP. So in aerobic respiration, reaction will be C6H12O6 glucose in presence of 6 molecule of carbon dioxide is oxygen, it will be broken down to 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 6 molecule of water and 38 molecules of ATP. Anaerobic respiration occurs in absence of oxygen, but the substrate is still the glucose. So C6H12O6, there will be no oxygen. It will be directly broken down to 2 molecules of ethanol, that is C2H5OH, and 2 molecules of carbon dioxide with the release of 2 molecules of ATP. So C6H12O6, that is glucose, will be broken down to 2 molecules of ethanol, that is C2H5OH, 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of ATP. Now today we will discuss in details the oxidation of glucose. Glucose is a common substrate for respiration because you have heard that carbohydrate is called energy yielding food. And when we digest carbohydrate, in most of the cases, the end product is glucose. Now, glucose after digestion enters into the cell through our blood. And when it enters the cell, then it is broken down for release of energy. Now, first of all, it enters into the cell. In the cytoplasm, glucose is broken down into glucose is a 6 carbon compound broken down to 2 molecules of 3 carbon compound called pyruvic acid. So in cytoplasm, 6 carbon compound glucose is broken down into 2 molecules of 3 carbon compound called pyruvic acid with a release of certain amount of energy. And this phase is called glycolysis. Now, so end product of glycolysis is pyruvic acid. Now the fate of pyruvic acid, that means what will happen to this pyruvic acid, depends on where it is, whether oxygen is present or oxygen is absent. Now if oxygen is present, what will happen? This pyruvic acid will be transported to mitochondria. From cytoplasm it will be taken to mitochondria. In mitochondria it will be further broken down to carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. So here, if it is presence of oxygen, it will be taken to mitochondria and finally will be completely broken down to carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. But what will happen if there is no oxygen? So if it is without oxygen, if pyruvic acid is produced and there is no oxygen, then if it is yeast or in anaerobic condition, it will be in the cytoplasm where it will be partially broken to a rather lesser complex substance, ethanol, and which is a 2 carbon compound with carbon dioxide and release of energy. So in anaerobic condition in yeast, it will occur in the cytoplasm only. It will be partially broken down into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. Now what will happen in the muscle cell? Muscle cell, when there is lack of oxygen, so mind that in muscle cell when there is lack of oxygen, then only it will perform anaerobic respiration and it will produce a lactic acid, but lactic acid is also a 3 carbon compound. Pyruvic acid is a 3 carbon compound, lactic acid is also a 3 carbon compound, so there is no evolution of carbon dioxide, only lactic acid and certain amount of energy will be released. Now another thing will happen. So again we just have a recap. Glucose in presence of when enters in the cell in the cytoplasm, it is broken down to a 3 carbon compound pyruvic acid with a release of energy. And if the oxygen is there, it will enter into the mitochondria. This pyruvic acid will be transported to mitochondria, completely broken down to carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. But if there is no oxygen, then it will enter in the yeast cell. It will anaerobically broken down to a partially broken down to ethanol and carbon dioxide with release of small amount of energy. And in lack of oxygen in the muscle cell, it will be partially broken down to lactic acid and energy. Now you can see there, here is a stepwise breakdown. Why there is stepwise breakdown? Why glucose is not completely broken down into one step and finally energy is released? Because our body temperature, we have to maintain our body temperature. Now if this energy is directly if glucose is directly broken down in, and this huge amount of energy will be released, which will heat the body to a certain extent, which will cross the limit of our body temperature. So there is always a stepwise breakdown of glucose in the respiration. So this is about the oxidation of food and the release of energy, which is used as fuel for various purposes. Okay, thank you.